Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Well, hello there, and welcome to April 18th. As I speak, so is the Attorney General, and that is why I'm pretty sure nobody's listening to me right now, because you all would be the kind of people who'd be glued to this rollout of the report we've been waiting to see for almost 2 years. Barr has already given his little peroration, which amounted to a total defense of Donald Trump. He seemed to, I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. He seemed to be suggesting that while Trump did some things that sure did look like obstruction of justice, like firing the FBI director, forcing his Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, out, that it was totally understandable because he was pissed off. Mostly at the fact that there were investigations going on into some nefarious activities by him and his cohorts. And Barr actually said, like, he was mad, and so he lashed out a bit, I guess. I don't know. What is going on right now is just more obfuscation, spin. I'm just outraged that here is an attorney general who's already given us those 4 pages that he so helpfully culled from the 400 plus that the report actually consists of, apparently. And now he's still holding back the report. Nobody has seen the report as I speak. But he is now telling everybody what it says again. He's been at it for a half hour now, characterizing it, knowing that everything he says will be quoted in newspapers and in press reports, because none of the reporters who have to put stories on from now, it's not like we don't have a 24/7 news presence, will only have his words intended to absolutely give the president a pass to work from, because unless they can read a 400-page report in a half hour and digest it and be able to turn around and explain it to their various audiences. As far as I know, no attorney general has done what Barr is doing today. If there is a special counsel report, they release the report. Maybe after they've released the report and reporters have had an opportunity to read it and digest it, they might make themselves available for a news conference. But to have this, what's going on now, which is a bunch of reporters asking this guy questions when he's the only one in the room that's read the report, is absurd, and is, of course, it's not absurd if you're serving the president. The problem is the attorney general is not supposed to serve the president. He's supposed to serve us. And I don't think he's doing that at the moment. So the one interesting piece of news that Barr did put out there, and I'm very surprised but grateful, is that the White House was given the opportunity to claim executive privilege on some of these issues in the report, and apparently did not. So redactions, which we'll find out how extensive they are, none of the redactions apparently will be a result of the White House saying, you can't put that out because we claim executive privilege. So I am at a disadvantage here, too. Now I don't know what the Attorney General is saying, and I also, don't have the report. So none of this. And I'm not going to have read the report before tomorrow's program either. And let us remember, it's Holy Thursday, right? Good Friday tomorrow. This whole thing's, the timing of the release, the manner in which it's released, shows a totally politicized Justice Department here. But it's very, very, I'll use a vanilla word, disappointing. I guess I will continue on as if nothing else is happening, knowing that I guess most people will be listening much later after you've ingested the Dog and Pony Show you're probably currently watching. I mean, I specifically drove downtown today so I could listen in my car all the way. I sat in a parking spot until just a few moments ago, listening to and trying to keep my composure, which I pretty much did. So, remember all the times in the last few years when we heard that so-and-so was speaking to to Mueller, and remember all the times that we just assumed that, aha, this is it. Whoa! All of this hope and faith we put into this, and now to see it being unveiled in this cynical manner, choreographed manner to aid and abet the cover-up of what actually happened is truly disheartening, is it not? Well, I guess I'm just going to kind of move on. And I'll try to fill out the hour. But if I fall short, it'll just be that I'll fall short because, I'm assuming very little audience. Although Roger has emailed me to let me know that he's apparently maybe multitasking. Roger, this is totally off the side. And it's just as well. There's no reason for me to do what cable news does all the time, which is engage in speculation. We are so close to finally having something that is more than speculation, the actual words of Robert Mueller, written after he has accumulated all his evidence. So I'm being told the Q&A of Barr's news conference ended just before I went on, so it is all over. So I do have great. Well, I want to thank Bill Barr for the first time. I haven't had much to thank him about up till now. Well, that's good to know you're all there. If anybody wants to in any way respond, react, go ahead. I will. Okay, I'll go back to Roger's email in a second because we have a caller. Caller, go ahead, please.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Hey, but the pack of lies that this Barr was spinning out there, two things that I noticed is he was saying there's no collusion, which collusion is not a crime. I mean, that's not how they word it. It's a conspiracy, isn't it?
Right.
So that was a bunch of bullshit. And the second thing, he said no Americans talked to the Russians about the United States election, where Paul Manafort gave them polling data. So that's another fucking lie. The guy is a big blowhard, and that's all he did was a blowhard. I think he hurt his credibility. I think that's going to hurt Trump big time, because when the others start trickling out, the shit's going to hit the fan, and he's going to hear it.
Well,
believe me, I believe that.
Okay, well, I hope you're right, but I
mean, it might take some time, but this guy, it was a phony show out there, just a phony show. And why do we allow the guy that's supposed to be in charge of the law of the United States do this? Why aren't they looking into him? I mean, this here is just right in your face that he's protecting the president, which is not his friggin' job.
I know. It really is. It really is something. I was thinking this morning, wow, Republicans, they always just astonish me at their brazenness, they do what they have to do, and they don't care how it looks. They don't care that a guy like you is going, ballistic in Pittsburgh, PA. They don't care. They keep their eye on whatever, their prize is. And their prize is always retaining power. And they will do it. I am starting to be very fearful in many ways. Starting, did I say? This was chilling. It really was. I kept wanting to scream at him. Listening on the radio, I kept wanting to scream, just give us the report. Don't keep telling us we're not children. We learned how to read. We have brains. We can think. Why are you doing this? Give us the damn report. Stop spinning and give us the report, so that if we ask you questions, we can ask intelligent questions. It's just, they're just brazen,
Now,
shameless.
there was a top former prosecutor that he says in due time, Mueller will come out and correct this.
I don't know about that.
So I don't know about that, but he knows them well. He worked under him, and he said that yesterday. He said he will make this right in some way, what he really said and what he didn't. So we'll wait and see, I guess.
Well, that's what we've been doing a lot of, isn't it? Clearly that is our job as powerless peons. We're supposed to continue to wait and see while these powerful SOBs in D.C. continue to spin and control the wheels of justice. It really is appalling. Thank you for your call. I
okay, thank you.
It.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, Okay, back to Roger. This is, again, another subject. Yesterday, you were talking about how Amazon and other creepy peddlers have so much access to our personal lives. In some ways, this is probably Fred Rogers' worst nightmare. Well, that shows a true knowledge of Fred's mission. Yes. If I recall last year's documentary, his biggest concern was that television in the 60s was turning children into consumers. Yeah. Right. Yeah. He found almost everything on television appalling. It was interesting. He worked in a medium that he had very little respect for the product that was carried on it. And right, he of course, saw children as so vulnerable if they were to be looked at as just more money, consumers. And, of course, that's exactly what's happened. I've said before, I sometimes am grateful that my dad didn't live as long as my mom. If he were seeing all of this now, it would kill him. It would certainly send him into despair and depression. And he was spared that. Fred spared that, too. Reality can be a real cruelty. Sorry. I feel like I'm just sort of tap dancing here until I can get the hell out and get my hands on the report myself. I mean, you want to see it. It's still not out, right? It's coming out like around 11, and who knows how many redactions there will be. You can bet your buttons that Mr. Barr has done everything he can to cleanse it. So, I have mentioned that I have difficulty enjoying comedians that I used to enjoy, or especially topical comedians. So that where I used to love watching, the likes of Colbert or, Jon Stewart when he was doing it, or, there's so many of them, right? Trevor Noah and all those late night shows, Saturday Night Live. I can't watch. It's not as though I am without a sense of humor. I think I've got a pretty good one. But I just don't think there's anything funny about what's happening. It's gone over to the dark side. And I do know that people need to be able to find humor in things, but I for me, can't, because it's just sends me into, again, my now default emotion of just despair. There was an essay by a writer that in which he said, and I think we've said it as much too, that sort of you can't parody this presidency because it is a parody. You can't make it up because in reality it is beyond belief, right? So that destroys parody. It destroys satire in a lot of ways. And that is what this essay was about. It was titled, "Is Satire Possible in the Age of Trump?" And frankly, it really isn't, to my mind. And pretty much the essayist, I believe, generally agrees. I mean, political satire is every bit as important to democracy as, the free press. Political satire is how the powerless have the ability to take down the powerful. It is why political cartooning has been such an effective weapon in history as well, because ridicule, satire, laughing at can undermine the powerful. And it can be done by people who otherwise would not have power. So we have always expected that the powerful will be held somewhat in check by the pens of parodists and satirists. But Trump is immune. He is truly immune because he has no conscience and thus is incapable of shame. You cannot shame him because he feels no shame. So the wits, all those guys at night and Samantha Bee, they are taking on someone who's impervious. The first such person I've ever experienced in my life, truly impervious to shame. And this essay points out that, reality right now in this Trump era consistently trumps parody and satire. The reality gets to the punchline or creates a narrative that the most imaginative, crazed comedy writer couldn't have come up with. So the essayist points out, look at Saturday Night Live now. Look at what they do a lot. They don't even write their own material anymore. A lot of their sketches literally work from taking actual transcripts, right? From news conferences, from statements made by the press secretary, by Bill Barr at a congressional hearing. They literally just start from that reality because it is out of some other realm, and it's a realm immune to the weaponry of the satirist. This guy, his name, by the way, is Ben Greenman. He says, subjecting Trump to ridicule is like pushing tacks into one of those giant gummy bears. I mean, all the sharp points just disappear and get lost in there. So how is satire even possible? How can it be heard in a climate like this? And unfortunately, he has an answer to that. It becomes louder. It becomes more crass. So subtlety, say goodbye. Subtlety replaced by the sledgehammer. Cleverness replaced by insult. And that's where we are. And our outrage is having trouble finding satisfying vents with which to be released. And he says, outrage is not art. It is not. In fact, outrage works sort of like a drug, and it makes us resistant to anything that in any way diminishes the vitriol, the outrage we are feeling. So it just keeps ratcheting up. Food for thought. And it is why I can't listen anymore. Ha ha. I don't find it funny. All the shows that I used to sometimes enjoy, I mean, I found them all uneven, but And Greenman also says this, that, the best satirists not only speak truth to power, but they take a mirror and they hold it up to their audience as well. because it is the audience in a democracy that enabled the power. It is we who put these people in power to destroy our very system and to torment us and to outrage us. And he says that most of the Trump satire does not in any way turn that mirror on us. It does not implicate us. It implicates them. It acts as another tool of division. It just labels the other, the dumb idiots who put this guy in power, and calls it, that's it. So it makes satire, he says, dependent upon divisiveness. And where does that put us? Exactly where Trump is. Because he is dependent upon sowing division. And that's now what our satire does as well. I think this guy is pretty much right on the money. I think that was in the New York Times book review last Sunday. Barbara writes, MSNBC's Joe Scarborough has continued his criticism of Barr. And so this would have been this morning before Barr's conference. And Scarborough said that Barr's behavior with regard to the Mueller report may make him, quote, the person responsible for a change in the way we choose our attorney generals. Attorneys general is the correct, right? Attorneys general is the correct plural. And he went on to say, it seems bizarre at this point that a president should be able to select the attorney general. Who can decide how the investigations are run against them? Who can decide which political enemies get prosecuted? Who can decide which political allies don't get prosecuted? Who can decide what corporations don't get prosecuted? I mean, the fact that, Donald Trump has shown us actually a significant flaw in our constitutional system of checks and balances. This is not the way America is. Well, it never was, because we had honorable, generally speaking, men, always, in these positions. Beth writes, the moment the House Democrats heard about this news conference, they should have had a subpoena ready for Mueller and have his hearing at the same time. Well, I don't think things move that fast. But yeah, that would have. But see, they don't have the report. They've got to have the report first. They don't want to go after Mueller or interrogate Mueller till they see what, or most of what, he wrought. Yeah, no, we got, the media got played, which they do, with alarming constancy. I don't think constancy is the right word. Yeah, I mean, as Beth says, this administration has totally controlled the narrative of this report because they won't let us see it. So they just keep telling us what's in it. It's absolutely maddening. Also, funny that they released this report today right before Passover and Easter. I know, just in time to divide more families. That's true. I mean, I'm going to be with my family. Thank God we're all on the same page politically, but a lot of families aren't. Beth says, sorry, my writing is so bad. I'm just so angry. Well, that's right. Outrage. And Hey, Mark, what's your point here? Lynn, Mark writes, can't we impeach Trump because he is an ogre, vile, and disgusting? No. We can impeach him because he is not living up to his oath of office, I would suggest. That'd be one way. The emollients clause. There's so many ways you could impeach the guy, but impeachment does not look politically smart. What about that horrible Queen's accent with only 500 words in his vocabulary? Mark, what's your point here? Clearly, he is unfit for the office and lacks the appropriate temperament. That is true. Mark is trying to engage in satire here, I believe. Trying is the operative word, Mark. Now, what will I say to my sophisticated European friends who speak 5 languages? All right, I'm sorry. Speaking of languages, I don't understand. I mean, whatever it is you're trying to say to me is lost in translation. I don't understand your speech. I really don't. I'm not kidding. I don't. I'm assuming that is you're trying to put it to me, right? And us, the others. But I'm not getting it. Different worlds, different universes, different facts, different realities, different everything. Little Tony says you can't watch comedians and I can't watch Jeopardy. Aw, Jeopardy! Wow! What that guy, he's been on, it's like he's destroying the show. It is every record that was ever set. You know what I started to actually, I have a conspiracy theory about this. Alex Trebek is dying, probably. Who could possibly take over the show? There are people who said, well, it'll have to be Ken Jennings. But this guy is destroying Ken Jennings. Ken Jennings now looks like this guy could beat Ken Jennings with, and I'm wondering if this is I don't even know. This guy he knows everything. Everything. And when he doesn't know something, he knows enough not to guess. And he bets with he controls the board so he gets every daily double, and then he doubles down. And yesterday he set another record for a one-day total. He set he's set a record and broken it now, I think 5 times. I think yesterday he made $133,000 in one show. No one has ever done it. He's now into what, 700,000 something? It is like a joke. He decimates everybody. Somebody's going to have to knock him off. And here's my conspiracy theory. I think they've got someone in the wings who they figure can knock him off. And eventually they will. But if someone can knock him off, then how do you knock that person off? This is like the end game of Jeopardy. Those of you who aren't into Jeopardy, I got to tell you, it's astonishing, this guy. And the other part is he's amassing. So he doesn't have 1 million yet, but he'll give him another 3 days. And you know what he's going to do with that money? I mean, I don't know, but here's what I know just seeing him. He's going to do what he does for a living. He's going to head right back to Las Vegas. He's a professional gambler. And now he's going to have millions. He's going to have more money to bet with than he's ever had. And he's a professional gambler because he wins. So this is just a gambling nest egg for this guy. God, it's really, I don't know. I watched it last. I have to admit, it's like I do feel compelled to watch. I'm astonished at his breadth of knowledge. Astonished. God. And make no mistake, he will be a household. You think Ken Jennings? This name, I can't even think of his name yet, but believe me, George something, right? He will be, he's already a celebrity, and he will be huge. whole something. I don't know. We have a caller. I'm sorry. I forgot. Hello.
Hey, Lynn.
Hi.
Hey, Lynn. It's Mike in D.C.
Hi.
So you had mentioned earlier about the only thing that saved us from our flaws in the Constitution were honorable men. And I'm not sure they were any more honorable than these shysters that Trump appoints. They could just see a longer end game. Like Barr right now is doing it to please his overlord. But at some point, he has to go back into society or look for another job. And as Christian Anderson, is that her name, the head of DHS? As she found out, she left and nobody wants her. So I'm not sure they were any more honorable. They could just look down the pike and say, if I do this action, what will the ramifications be to me, to my family, to the country? And and Trump has bamboozled these people into thinking that there will be no ramification for their stupid, unethical behavior.
Well, yes. And you know what, though? Will you explain to me, who was it, Reagan we first called the Teflon president? Doesn't Trump seem the most Teflon person you've ever seen?
Yep.
I mean...
And for no good reason.
No. How is it that somehow, and he seems like such a bumbler, but somehow he never gets touched. He lives to golf another day. He never gets touched. And because he has no conscience or shame, no problem. He just feels he'll always prevail because he always has. So businesses go bankrupt.
And I get that he feels that way.
Yeah, and he loses,
I get that he feels that way.
Yeah, but the people around him.
But the people under him are not Teflon.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to pay the price.
Well, tough.
Reputation alone.
Yeah, do you have any sympathy for them?
No. Do you think any board wants is it Bill Barr? Wants Barr on their board? Do you think any company wants Barr as the president coming?
Yes, I do. I just heard the
Not a company that's trying to get more people to buy their stuff.
Well, it doesn't. Well, I don't know. I just saw that Notre Dame just gave a job to Ryan, the former Speaker of the House. Now, granted, he wasn't. I mean, I find him vile, but those people always they know the powerful, and there's always someone who's willing to help them out. There is. Maybe some of the smaller actors. Barr is an old, what is he? He doesn't, I don't know how old he is, but he doesn't need to. This is his final act, maybe. He'll write a book. He'll make more money. I don't know. Something. Hey, we have another call.
I'm not sure mankind has become less moral. Just to reiterate my point.
Okay. Well,
I just think that these people don't play the long game.
Maybe. I sort of feel like there is a diminution of honor. It doesn't even register as a virtue that people even comprehend, I don't think. Anyway, I have another call, so I've got to
Happy holiday.
Leave you. Thank you, Mike. You too.
Bye.
Bye. Caller? Hello?
Hey, Lynn. Hi, Lynn. It's Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
I was actually calling about Jeopardy, but I caught the last bit of your conversation with them. Guessing, was that Mike from D.C.?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, yeah. I have to disagree with them. All of these people that are supporting Trump, whether it's Mitch McConnell or Barr or anybody, Devin Nunes, they're all going to be just fine. There are enough sycophants that are in that crowd that they will have a job on talk radio or on a board of some company, whatever. It doesn't matter. But nevertheless, about Jeopardy, good God, that guy is like amazing.
What do you think of him, though? Isn't he an odd duck? Isn't he? I can't get a fix on him.
Yeah, I can't get a fix on him either, and he's got that quirky kind of a smile.
I know.
Where it's like, he's smiling and it's pleasant, but it's really not that nice of a smile. You know, you kind of wonder.
Yeah,
but
like
you had mentioned
like
what
him.
he's going to do with.
Yeah, you don't. I
You
don't really.
you had
like
mentioned
him.
what he's going to do with his money.
Yeah, he's going to gamble.
Did you hear what he said? What his wife told him they're going to do?
What?
They're going to travel for a year. They're going to go to 12 different cities in the world and spend a month in each city. That's one of the things that they're going to do.
Oh, I missed that. Well, that's nice.
Yeah. So, and I think that from now on, and apparently Jeopardy is finished taping. It's done for the season. So we're going to end up having some repeats, and we'll have to wait till like fall, I guess September,
to
see how this all fleshes out. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Because I just saw something online that Alex Trebek posted a video on Twitter about the season being about his health, and he's doing real well, he says, and it's the end of the season, and that's why he posted this video. So they're not going to be doing any more taping. And then I guess it'll start back up in September.
So are you saying that, like, Friday is the last show of this season or something?
I can't say Friday, but it might be like next Friday or something.
So we're not going to know
how
long a run this guy's going to have? Wow.
Exactly, yeah. He might go, he might be on there forever.
Yeah, but
when they introduce the people, and they say, "Oh, this is a barber from Pittsburgh" or whatever it might be, they can introduce this guy as like, this is a professional Jeopardy player, because I've never seen anything like it. It's just like so amazing what this guy has done. It's bizarre.
It is, doesn't he? He makes Ken Jennings look like an idiot. It's just beyond belief.
I mean, for the astonishment factor, though, it's very entertaining because, like, I basically have been tuning in to just see how much is this guy going to bet on the daily doubles and stuff. You know,
well, because he doubles down. It's
the thing is, I feel so bad for the other contestants now. They just had so bad luck. They get picked to run into this guy. You know
what? I disagree because I was thinking they'll be able to say, I mean, on their obit, literally be able to say, she was on Jeopardy and she lost to the greatest player of all time, right? Because everybody's going to lose. But to be able to play with him is this who will be like a popular culture historical figure. No, I think, it gives you cover, too, for not winning.
Well, yeah, I guess it gives you cover. But that dude, and the thing is, like, he's going to change if I was going to go on Jeopardy now, I would play the way he does.
Yeah.
I would take the chances and bet a lot on the daily doubles and start up high and look for the daily doubles. But the thing is, too, it's like he gets the daily doubles because he gets all the answers right.
Because he controls
he's no
the
dummy.
board.
I mean,
if you keep getting...
exactly.
If
his
the one
trivia knowledge is just
that's
amazing.
Right. It's just unbelievable. Jeez. Well, okay.
Well, that's all I had for you. And as for the Barr thing, you know what? For the next, it's going to be until Monday. You're going to hear anything of any substantial, any kind of news.
That's really true.
It's all just going to be, like you say, the media speculation and blah, blah, blah. I can't stand it. It makes me want to throw up.
Good. Yeah. Well,
and you know what? It's another nice day to go out in the backyard and listen to the birds.
I agree. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, Lynn. Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We have another caller. Okey-doke. Hello. Hello.
Hey, Lynn. Good morning to you.
Hi.
Hey, Lynn.
Hi.
John from Greensburg.
Hi, John.
So yeah, I will. This isn't the particular subject I called about, but I will say I am astounded by the Jeopardy champion. And I don't have a paucity in the field of general knowledge myself from our, which I imagine you've gleaned from our conversations over the years. But he simply is astonishing, and he's obviously optimized the strategy to succeed at Jeopardy.
Exactly.
I mean, his pattern of picking the particular the high money.
Yeah, starting at the bottom and moving up, he gets the money.
Starting at the bottom, which has been used before, doubling down at particular points in the game where he's already up by a significant amount.
Right.
he's cracked the code when it comes to winning at Jeopardy. So his profession as a professional gambler doesn't surprise me. But as I said, not the primary reason I called. I see that Bagman Barr turned in a performance even worse than expected today at the what we call, I don't want to call it a press conference, because it wasn't a press conference, because as soon as questions actually started to turn into anything other than softball lobs, when there were actually some serious inquiries, he simply turned tail and skedaddled back into the confines of the dank, the now dank hallways of this administration, this White House. But the only thing that gives me just a bit of hope is that I think even major media recognize that he is a bagman. That's all he is. He's acting as the president's, personal attorney, his defense counsel.
Yep.
He's not an attorney general. We don't currently have an attorney general of the United States. That's not what we have.
No.
That office ceased to exist. Likely once Jeff Sessions resigned, and you had the steroided up, thuggish con man slash pitchman Whitaker appointed as acting, and then when he proved too crude and dim even for this particular noxious administration, the bagman stepped in. He had already auditioned for the job with a letter which basically argued that the president can obstruct justice through the use of the pardon power and through firing at will the head of the FBI, and it doesn't really matter what his motives were for doing so.
He was angry.
It can be for yes,
he
correct.
Was frustrated.
Correct.
He felt that his
he was
administration
angry
was. I mean, it's
crooked Hillary and the lying media, which is the enemy of the American people, and so bringing a halt to an investigation. Firing the head of the FBI because he wouldn't halt an investigation into Mike Flynn, who's a very, very honorable man, except for selling out his country to a foreign power once he was in government office again. But other than that, very, very honorable man with this distinguished record. The president was upset, and when you're upset, you're allowed to take actions for criminal motives, right? You're allowed to suborn, felonies for if you're upset. If you're upset at that scheming crooked Hillary and the liberal left mainstream media.
Well,
who wouldn't do that?
So the report supposedly is going to be out, in 12 minutes? Did they really say at 11 it'll come out? And how will we be able to access it? Is it on a?
Well,
I'm serious.
Well, after Bob Barr has gotten through with this. Remember, this report. Did you see the report has been redacted since late March? Since the last week in March, the president has had this report on his desk for 19 days. He's been able to see this for 19. He's had conversations with the bagman and his underlings for 19 days about the report.
Yeah,
did you catch that?
I don't know.
So I in fact, I'll take it back. I don't think Barr just turned yellow and skedaddled out of the propaganda bit he was doing. I think it was that he actually felt a little queasy because I think he has a nasty case of Sharpie poisoning, Sharpie ink poisoning. Because I think what's going to be left in the redacted report that Congress initially gets to see will be the words well, it isn't going to be that bad, but I want to see it. Where do I see it? I'm serious. I'm asking. Is it online somewhere? Are they going to stick it? The Department of Justice will have a link to it so that we, the people, can read it. Why isn't anybody with all the blathering going on TV?
24/7. Has anybody told me where I might be able to see the report online?
I don't think it's worth seeing. I don't think it's worth seeing until we get a leaked, unredacted version.
No, I want to see as much as I can see, as quickly as I can see. I mean, we'll find out. It could be a long time before you get anywhere near an unredacted version. So
if Trump is reelected, it may be a very, very long time.
Yeah.
A very long time.
Okay. Hey, I got to run, but thank you for the call. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, appreciate it. Bye. Amy, you got something? Congress gets it between 11 and 12. I just wonder, and then we get it later, so it's still unclear. We paid for it. I want it. I don't even with the redaction, give me something. Give me. And I want to attempt to end on I don't know about ending, but I love this news. There's some good news. It's nothing major, but it's good news out of all places, Arkansas. Every state in the country gets to send 2 statues of influential people they want to honor that will stand in the U.S. Capitol. So there must be, this is what a math whiz I am, 100 statues. Yeah. And my guess is most of them are white guys, right? So, but that's not the point. A whole ton of them are also traitors to the Union. They are Confederate people who rebelled against the United States of America, took up arms against the United States of America, and they're still standing there in the Capitol. Now, I know we've been taking some Confederate statues down, but I think the U.S. Capitol still has a whole bunch of them. This is why good news out of the state of Arkansas, because a Republican governor in Arkansas signed a measure to take the 2 Confederate jerks who have been representing the state of Arkansas and ship them back. I'm sure they'll put them up somewhere else. And to replace them by 2 other people. Now, the way they spun it, this is a Republican governor. He didn't say he was taking down these 2 because they were racist. One was a Confederate, was sided with the Confederacy. The other, I think, was after the war, but he was a well-known racist. So those are the 2 guys they're sending back to Arkansas. And they've decided, they didn't say that is why, but the reason supposedly was to update the statues with representatives of our more recent history. That's what he said. People who we want to honor now, because most Arkansans, whatever they're called, don't know those 2 guys anyway. So let's give them 2 people they maybe do. And so guess who's going to the U.S. Capitol as one of the representatives from the state of Arkansas? Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash. I love it. There was a little bit of the people were saying, well, he was in trouble with the law and he took drugs and he committed adultery. I said, yeah, so let's vet all those other guys standing there and see how they come up on some kind of, scale of sinfulness. So it's Johnny Cash and a woman who I must say I did not know the name, but it's an African-American woman who was a big civil rights icon in that state. Her name is Daisy Lee Gatson Bates. And she was instrumental in the effort to desegregate schools in Arkansas. So we got a black woman and Johnny Cash going to the U.S. Capitol, and I love that. I wonder who we have, Pennsylvania. We would have no end of, pretty good founding father kind of guys like Ben Franklin and stuff like that. But I wonder if we should update, and if we did update, who would we put? I don't know. Mr. Rogers. Let's get Fred to the U.S. Capitol. Fred Rogers. How about that? I mean, if we're going to update, I don't know. It's possible. Just saying. I wanted to share that with you. And I have another little tidbit. Oh, Little Tony on Jeopardy, by the way, he says he can't watch it anymore because he doesn't find it entertaining anymore. No, it's true. He's stolen the show, this guy. And he's broken the show in that way. And I understand. But now that he's done it and Trebek's dying, I figure the show's sort of broken anyway. And I'm just fascinated by how far this guy can go. But I do agree that it ain't the show we've loved forever. It's different, and it's been captured and changed. Tony says, why should I read a book if I already know the ending? It's like every show you would not necessarily know who was going to win. Well, at some point, he'll have a bad day, who knows what. He'll come up with there'll be a contestant who's knowledgeable as hell and willing to play the game like he plays it, doubling down, being gutsy. But you have to have finding somebody who knows as much as this guy. The subject matters it's just all over the place. I mean, everything from popular culture to geography to history to science to this to that. I don't know what the hell he doesn't know. But Tony says, because this guy knows everything, the show is just boring. Oh, and Tony, thank you for this. He says Barnes & Noble, he thinks, is offering the Mueller Report for download free. I mean, they don't have it yet, but that would be nice. The government should give it to us. Why should we go through Barnes & Noble? It should be available to the American people. Here's another little tidbit about American presidents. This is from Gail Collins' column today. She's talking about presidents and the fact that not many American presidents have known how to speak a foreign language. And this is because everybody's freaking out about Buttigieg speaking Spanish, French, Italian, Maltese. Well, that's where his family's from. Norwegian, Arabic, and some Persian language, Dari. But he points out Herbert Hoover spoke Mandarin. I wonder why. Okay, here was her quiz in the middle of this. Who was the only president for whom English was a second language? Wow. Don't have a clue, right? You have a clue? Who could that possibly be? And it turns out it's Martin Van Buren, who was raised by his immigrant parents who spoke Dutch. So Dutch was his first language, and English, Van Buren's second language. Also, this is funny. So the current crop of Democratic contenders, a number of them do speak other languages. Kamala Harris speaks French. Beto O'Rourke speaks Spanish. Here's what's funny. Julian Castro doesn't speak Spanish. He was raised in Texas by a Mexican-American mom who, unlike Van Buren's parents, did not let him speak Spanish in the house. She wanted her little boy to be an English-speaking American, and so she wouldn't let him speak Spanish, and he's been trying to learn it as an adult. He said in 2013, "I'm resolved that before I die, I'll speak it fluently." Well, he's 44 now, and he recently, when asked about it, said, "I sort of kind of speak a little to some extent." So I was blown away. Oh, the report is available. Thank you. According to C-SPAN, thank you, Milton, the report will be available via a link on their website. So go to C-SPAN. Once it's been delivered to Congress, that's great. Also, Trump is planning an address at 11. Why? Total exoneration. And Ellen says she thought that the Justice Department's website would also have a link. So, yeah, it'll be available. That's good. Hey, thank you all very much. I think we're done. Thank you. And I don't know. So tomorrow, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about this if any of you are around. And I will be. And see ya. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.